All right, first thing to do, just gotta pull the monitor out. It's on magnets on the side here, so just pull it forward. So then back here, this is the board that we're gonna get out.
And where are the capacitors at?
Capacitors that we're replacing are these two guys right here. So the best thing to do is be methodical about it. Just start from one side, start unplugging all the connectors. This one's got a pin woofer system in it, so this guy here, we'll also want to take that out nice and gently, just like that. Just go around the whole circumference. Probably the only one that's a little hard to get out is this Molex one right here, but just be patient with it. So that'll be step one. Pause there. Next step here, we're gonna take this board off of the back plate. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. You can either use a Phillips driver or a 1/4 inch like I'm doing. We're not taking the screws out, we're just loosening them enough so that the board can come out more easily. Keep in mind that in order to access some of them, you might have to pivot some stuff around, move some things around, so like this. Get that there. Unscrew about halfway. Same thing there. Just a few turns. There's probably the most annoying one to get on this machine is behind this big ol' thing right here, but it's down there in the corner. Again, we are just trying to get right in there. Yeah, that one's pretty annoying to get to. Eventually get. And if it's not coming out, then grab a Phillips head or just a regular screwdriver. Flathead. This one just doesn't want to bite on this one, so I'm gonna grab a Phillips head. All right, so I just unscrewed a little bit with the regular Phillips head. So now this whole thing should be able to slide left. You can see it loosely slides left. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna carefully try and get it out of here. Just gotta move some connectors out of the way if they're in the way. One more look at this one in a second. Stop that one. So this pin woofer has this ground wire that was going into one of the corner ones, so I had to take that screw off. I'm just gonna put it right there for now. Now we can slide this out. Try and gently move these wires out of the way. One of the hardest parts is just getting this thing out of the cabinet. There we go. So here's the board. So again, the things that we're going to be modifying are these two capacitors. And let's go do that. So again, these are the two capacitors that we're removing. The way you can identify it is they say 3300 microfarad, 100 volt on the side right there. We're not replacing the ones below them. It's the two in the top left corner. And we are replacing them with 6800 microfarad capacitors. And the way that these came is they just had these little snap-ins. I took some resistor legs, soldered them onto here to extend them because these guys are too fat to fit on the board right here. Look at the diameter there. They basically would not fit. So some smart people made 3D printed spacers. So if you got a 3D printer, that's a great option. Otherwise use like PVC tube or something. This one's nice because it separates the two leads and it is snug fit on this capacitor. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these off.
Show the two leads coming out.
Yeah, see there, right there, two little leads. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these capacitors off, put that on. To also help it stay on, I've got this goop, which is basically kind of like just kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just a glue to basically help it stay on there. Like
Kind of Loctite.
Yeah, like hot glue basically, like
Hot
from
glue.
a hot glue gun. The other thing you want to notice is polarity matters. So this is the negative side of the capacitor. That's going to face up just to match these other ones. So when we put it in there, we're going to do it like that. So we'll start by taking these off. So the method I like to use is going into here. I've got these two leads coming out. I'm going to add some fresh solder in here just to get things kind of more liquid. If it's not clean, make sure you clean your soldering iron. Also got the solder vacuum. I'm gonna heat that up. It's gotta get nice and hot. Once it starts to liquefy, vacuum that out. Okay. Might take a couple practice runs there, but that's the basic idea.
I can ask if someone else wants to go. Alright, yeah.
Okay. Up. Yeah, so I'm just kind of starting by bending these up, getting those off of the PCB. Try not to hurt the vias, any of the traces or anything. Add a little bit of solder. Of course, that's a lot of solder, but it's gonna help us heat it up and get it off. Okay, so that's a good start. Then next, there we go. That one lined up. I think that one might actually be clear already, but we'll see after we do this one. Get this one up a little bit. Trying to make sure that it's not still attached to the via, because last thing I want to do is destroy the via. Make sure I'm not shorting the capacitor, because it will give you a nice little spark. Making those straight. I'm going to start wiggling, straighten these up. This one's got a little bit more to go. A little bit like it's lifting on that far edge, but should be okay. That one looks a lot better. These two look fine. Look at the other side. Those look okay. So now, there's the much easier part.
Polarity and
Yep, polarity. Even says right there, negative on this side, positive on that side. Square these up a little bit. Make sure you got them lined up. Okay. That's just kind of a test fit, so we're gonna see, like, that's what it's gonna look like when it gets in there. Before we put that on there, we do want to put a little bit of goop on the underside of this so that it adheres to the board. So this stuff is pretty strong. You don't need all that much. It's kind of like hot glue.
it's not as bad as crazy glue.
Yeah. So kind of need some dollops on there. Just like the size of a pea. That should be enough. And keep in mind we've got the solder to help keep it in place too. Okay, so just put a little pressure on there to let that goop just kind of set in. And then you can flip it over. Make sure you're continuing to keep pressure on there so that it stays in place. And here's the easy part. Inspect, looks like it's in a good spot. Goes one. There's two. Same thing, just getting a little bit of
It's number 2.
goop on there. Okay. All right, same thing, negative. Make sure you're following what you're doing. A little hair of goop there, get that off. Line that up, put some pressure on it, make sure it looks like it's in a good spot. That looks pretty good. Okay, let's turn that over. And just want to keep a little pressure on that. Just like that. And the same thing, solder it up. Of course, got a little goop there. Hopefully that'll get out of the way and clean up. Not happy with that, so I'm gonna try and clean this up a little bit. Some goop kind of came through.
That looks better.
Yeah, a little better. Still not perfect, but you should always check continuity too. So if that's on the negative side, then I should, you have your multimeter?
Yeah, I'll get that.
After cleaning up those leads, if you can check continuity, make sure everything looks good. I'm gonna check ground continuity here on the negative side. Looks good there. Check the positive side. It's good. Just a close up of what that looks like on the underside. And then here's what it looks like on the other side. These two big guys here. You can see a little bit of interference with like just a resistor there, but that's totally fine. You could bend that out of the way if you really wanted to. Yeah, I think it looks good. Next step is we'll get it back in the machine. Different ways to do it. It's actually got a hole at the very tip for you to go into a pin, heat it up, kind of move it around in a circle, and then vacuum it out. Works really well, but they're sometimes, as you can see with these, the pins were not straight out, so I had to do a little bit of prying and melting and move them out of the way.
So again, this thing is $300, you said?
Yeah.
That right there, and you had to get,
Yep.
well, obviously goop, that's not a big deal.
Goop, yeah, it's trivial. The 3D printed spacers, you can replace with something else if you really wanted to. It's about 10, 20 cents in plastic maybe. Free files to download. There's a couple different models to choose from, like use PVC tubing or whatever other kind of stand-ups you can think of. I've seen people actually move the bridge rectifiers out a little bit just so they don't even have to put spacers in there, so that's another option too. But all in, if I were just buying the capacitors themselves and what we got here, it's less than 20 bucks modification. That being said, having the right tools really helps. Not 100% necessary, but if you wanted to buy the entire board replacement, I don't blame you. It's not like a trivial thing to do, but. All right, so now here's the fun part. Remember how there was those 4 standoffs that we unscrewed? Well, there's actually more than that on the back plate here. There's like these alignment ones right there, 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 there. And you can see holes in the board for where those slot in. So it can be kind of a pain in the butt to line everything up and then notch it over. And then once you do that though, all you have to do is tighten down the screws, make sure you put all the connectors back in place. So here's me attempting to do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by getting this board in, basically opposite the way we took it out. Kind of feed it in. Like this. Out. Start by lining up just one side of the board.
Hey, do we need anything to use your car?
Alright, so I managed to finagle it on there. Basic technique I used was started from this side, lined everything up with the screws, and then with these, there's a little thin notch in there. And here, I'll do it again. Let me just pull it out. So what you want to do is I put pressure on here from this side and then just kind of visualize where these notches are. And then you can feel the tension as you're pushing it, and you just got to identify which one is it not in. So then keeping that pressure on there, you can basically just go around here and kind of poke around and make sure it's not too far down. And then, as you just go around, there you go. So this is only if you got the pin woofer. Make sure you put the ground plug back in. I'm moving the ground up to this corner just because it's a lot easier to connect it. And then make sure that's out of the way. All right, so that's nice and tight. Tighten this corner down here. And come around to this side. Tighten that. Do not over tighten, because last thing you need to do is break the PCB. This last one here was the annoying one, so I'm gonna grab the Phillips head. There we go, that's tight. All right, now, the secret with these connectors is you more or less can't screw it up. They're all either keyed or different sizes, so there's really no way that you could plug something in wrong. That being said, it is possible, so don't force anything in. I'm just gonna go around the sides of this, make sure that the way you plug things in makes sense. So like, for example, this pin woofer is kind of funky, plugs in like that, but because of that, I'm gonna plug in the one next to it first. So you see here how it's got keyed input, that means like the third one's missing, the third pin's missing here. So just line it up. Boom. Let's look at this. That's not the right one. This one is missing the very far right. So we gotta think about where that goes. That actually goes up here. And this one is missing the second from the right. Now we can go back here, plug this one in. And just remember, because there's a little bit of parallax with the way you're looking at this, make sure you actually don't offset it by one. This one we're seeing misses the third one from the right. So that'd be up top. And then just going down the line. Nice thing about these is they've got kind of a memory, which means like they are bent in such a way that it makes sense where they plug into. Now let's go back, look down at the bottom again. We've got quite a handful down here. And keep in mind, there are some connectors that don't actually plug in anything. Like this one, I think, is actually unused. This looks like
Power.
a Molex tap-in, yep. So this one is number 1 pin is keyed. Line that up. This one, like the 5th one. Okay. All right, and then let's go back up top again here. So USB, that one's important. Don't forget that one.
Of course, most of us would take a picture of this beforehand.
Yep, you could certainly do that.
Only a couple pictures.
Yeah, that would be a smart thing to do. And some of these things just aren't plugged in, remember? So like this one is another power tap off for the Molex, which is unused. This one goes right there. This one is keyed, so you can tell it goes right there. Keyed on the bottom. Yep, that looks right. And make sure you're plugging in, it's solid across the entire way. This one keyed on the very far right. Okay. This one would be, I don't really see a key on that one. These three have enough memory on them. I think these are actually, okay, this one's keyed on the 3rd, and I think because of the shadow here, yeah, this one's keyed on the 2nd. Okay, all right, so that is right there. And then the 3rd. And then finally, 4th. Okay, so let's do a quick sanity check. There wasn't anything plugged in there. These all look good, nice and tight. I don't think there was one plugged in here, but it's always good to double check. I don't see any connectors flopping down or anything like that. All right, so last thing is we'll just push this back in and we'll turn it on and confirm that thing's working. So first thing to check is that the flippers are working.
Super skill shot.
I think one of the most noticeable things after you do it is the magnet. See that magnet just totally grabs the ball?
It's not just the flippers.
Not just the flippers, but it's everything on the, turn this down. It's everything on the 70 volt line. So that's the flippers and the magnets primarily. You don't get the slings, but I mean, really, the flippers and the magnets makes a huge difference. And this is, of course, without making power adjustments too to the flippers. So if you need to make some power adjustments, you can do that too. Yeah, it's not, I mean, like, I can easily hit that right ramp, go for the left ramp, no problem. Nice crisp feel. During multi-ball, it's not going to die out and lose power. One of the common things that would happen is with all the balls going around and all the solenoids firing and everything, you lose power in different places, but you can see there how I just hit that left ramp and the ball's just flying up there. Let's see if I can get some more balls up the left ramp. Overall, just a nice crisper feeling, a lot more oomph to the flippers. See how that ball just kind of flew up the ramp. That ramp's pretty dirty.
Hey, don't make fun of my ramps.
If you want super amount of power, you can up the flipper power in the settings, or you can go like precision flippers. If you're still worried about flipper fade, get the flipper fans.
Yeah, I've got flipper fans, and then of course the new capacitors.
Oh, look at that! I kind of just floppily hit that, and it just like flew up the ramp. I didn't even like hit it from a good position or anything. Look at that. It's just like bullet right up there. Alright, here we go. Look at that.
Backhand, no
You
problem.
can almost backhand it all the way up to the lock shot. Let's try again. Tight shot. There
There it is.
Look at that.
Yep.
Makes the game a lot easier. A lot more fun. Oh, not this song. You can stop it.